Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You may find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, and Abundant Television found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And our friends at thenewscasters.com. I'm trying to talk her into a show, but anyway, that's going to be another show right there. And so you can find us there as well. It's a great place. If you would like to have truth and information, you'll find it at that podcast right there. Kaylie Johnson is with me right now, and she is a general manager of the Gadsden Mall. It's always so good to be with you, Kaylie.
Thank you, Donna.
And so we're going to introduce to you Ann Eubank. And Ann Eubank is with the Alabama Legislative Watchdogs. She doesn't shy away from anything, which means she's running for office. And I've been telling, how many years have I said you need to run for this office here?
15, maybe. Yeah. 15 years? Yes.
Something like that. Because I'm going to tell you, she doesn't back down. And Ann has done her research. I mean, she's my go-to girl right here. So if I want to know something, you know, like, how can I find out information from everybody who's running, who's donated to them? You always have that answer. It's always right out there. And she's full of the data information. You print all the stuff off. And when you go to meetings, which I've been to a lot of them,
yes,
the truth is there.
Yeah, 15 years and 1,500 boxes and binders and spending a lot of time trying to figure out how the Marxists and the Socialists have infiltrated our educational system from the president on down, because it started under Obama, of course. And, you know, my favorite 3 words, follow the money. So if the states would stop following the money and develop their own standards instead of going by national standards, this whole country would be a whole lot better off. And this has been going on since 2009. And now you see what I was saying and warning about, that, you know, it's a spider web. You can't chop the legs off an octopus once it becomes a spider web, because it started out an octopus and now it is so entrenched in our schools with non-governmental organizations like A+ and what is it, A-Class. They go into the schools with the sex standards, and all the stuff that you're beginning to see now was part of the original plan of Common Core. So I've been spending a lot of time trying to make people understand and warn them how bad it was going to get. And guess what, people? It's here now.
Just like you said. But I wanted to ask this simple question right here. Okay, so I was one of those. The first time I was invited by Chuck and Mary Lynn Bailey with the Alabama Fair Tax. And they told me you were going to be in Fort Payne, Alabama.
Yes.
And so they were dragging me, kicking and screaming. I said, I don't have time for this, blah, 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 blah. I have no skin in the game. I don't have any grandkids. My son is like in his 40s. So what's the big deal? Why do I have to go and sit here and listen to this demonstration? She had me captivated within 5 minutes. I'm just telling you. I'm saying, you know what? She's well deserved. I'm glad I came here and listened to this. But what do you want to say to the person who says, I don't even have kids? Why should I care what kids are being taught in school?
Okay, you know all those kids that are in the streets right now supporting Hamas and the destruction of Israel? Well, 10 years ago, we warned what would happen, that they would be radicalized, that they would be far left and become Marxist. And so 5 years from now, those same kids that are in the streets now are going to be running for office and running this country. So do you think it kind of affects you that way?
Well, even if you're not political, think about who your neighbors are going to be.
Yes.
Okay, that's important too.
Yeah.
You know, I put out a flag. I love the United States. We have a flag. So what if I have a liberal neighbor who complains that I have an American flag out there?
Oh, you mean one of those Karens? Yeah. Well,
one of them.
One of them.
And I know a lot of people by the name of Karen. They're really good people, but I'm so sorry.
Well, if one of those young people in 10 years, say, because most of these kids are in college, and they are just the point of the spear of what Common Core has been teaching. You know, it started 15 years ago. So they went through high school and they're in college now. Well, they're going to go to law school and they're going to become lawyers, and lawyers become judges. And if that Karen, next door neighbor who doesn't like your flag, which is already happening, that a lot of that goes on, files a complaint and it goes before that judge that was brought up as a Marxist in our educational system, then how do you think he's going to rule? We already have freedom of speech issues, Amendment 1. We have gun rights issues, Amendment 2. And we live in Alabama, the reddest of the red. So can you imagine what New York's like for a conservative? Or somebody who loves their country and just wants to be left alone and the government butt out. I am a small, limited government person who believe the rights of the people are overall. They work for us. We don't work for them.
True.
You lost your widgets.
Actually, I didn't lose anything. It just popped up.
It just popped up.
It's so funny when Ann is on the show. Strange
It always happens.
It's just so strange.
It is. It is.
What are you doing to the show?
Well, you ought to see my phone and my computer at home. I have issues.
Yeah.
I know that I'm shadow banned on Facebook and they listen to we have jokes. I have a couple of political people in DC and they all joke. When they're talking to me, you can hear the clicks. So
I have noticed that.
You have noticed that.
But you know something? I wear it with a badge of honor. I've been kicked off of Facebook several times. It upset me the first time. I was pretty upset. I'm thinking, why don't they like me? I like them. And then I thought, wait a minute, there's Ann Eubank's kicked off all the time. I'm wearing it like a badge of honor. Thank you for doing that. So, yeah. Now Kaylie has kids in school.
Oh.
And I know you had quite a few questions.
Yeah, so I've got 2 kids. I've got one at the middle school and one in the elementary.
Oh, bless your heart. Middle school is a nightmare.
Yes, it is. Because, middle school is not just, okay, we're going from elementary to middle school. There is a shock around it all. We're changing classes. We're learning more about who we are as a person, about our bodies. There's a lot that's going on with middle school. So as far as our kids, what do you feel like, I guess in the educational system, the education that we're getting and the guidelines that are changing, because there's a lot that's changed this year versus last year, as far as like e-learning and things like that. What are kind of your thoughts behind e-learning? Would probably be my biggest, because a lot of parents are concerned with that, and I feel like on social media that is probably the one thing that I see a lot of parents talk about is the e-learning. So do you think that's something that they'll continue to do? Do you think that's something that they'll take out?
Well, the main plan is to remove parents from any influence over their children's education. And that in itself is the reason that I'm running for State School Board District 3, which is down in Hoover and Bibb County and some of the central Alabama.
So do you think, like, with it removing it, do you think that's still, removing the parents from it, would that still have the parents involved? Because right now, we had an experience 2 weeks ago. They sent kids home on an e-learning day that wasn't really communicated as well as it could have been. And there are a lot of parents that are having to miss work. They're not forcing, but they're putting parents in a position to teach that daily lesson and get the homework done.
Sounds
so now
like
the parents are become the teachers. Mm-hmm. So do you feel like if that's something you step in, would you make changes to that process?
Oh, I can't even list all the changes to the process
We had to have a 10-hour show.
that I would like to make when the school systems and the educational community talks about what they're going to do, what kind of curriculum. Now the standards, there's a difference between standards and curriculum and textbooks, and it's a whole definition thing. But we have had parents go to the school boards to ask for changes in processes, changes in this whole thing, which they used COVID in order to implement this. when it wasn't necessary. It wasn't necessary to shut down schools because generally kids aren't affected by, at that time, COVID. So, yes, we need to bring textbooks back into the schools.
Yes.
Because there is nothing like reading a book as opposed to reading on a screen. It has something to do with the way your mind perceives that information, and it causes cognitive dissonance, and I could go into that. But yes, I think e-learning needs to go away, but that's their wave of the future. So in order to stop it, the parents are going to have to regain their control over their individual schools and the school boards in their area, because it's their choice.
Right.
So, I have a meeting with the superintendents to talk to them because they're not happy
Right.
with a lot of stuff that's going on.
But they're afraid to say anything, they're going to lose their positions, right?
Well, not just positions, money.
Yeah.
Follow,
Because the government
Right.
will allow
Follow-
you extra money if you do this or that.
follow the money.
Yeah.
So my main focus is going to be, one, asking for an economic study on the feasibility and how much federal funds cost Alabama. Because with the federal funds comes administrators for the program, administrative people to keep up with the money and send it. Rules have to be made. So how much does this cost to actually take federal dollars for the school system? And nobody, and I do mean nobody, I asked Tommy Bice when it first started, have you done an economic study on how much taking federal dollars is going to cost us?
Right.
Oh, well, we get paid for people to do that. Well, really? I mean, I've read that line item budget over and over and over again, and they just write it down, federal dollars. They don't break down those federal
I don't
dollars.
know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, wait a minute. People have been audited from the IRS and their business for having two sets of books. That's kind of what it feels like to me.
Well, it's not two sets of books. It's just a line item for federal dollars, and there's no detail. And
But could I do this if I'm running my business?
No, you could not.
I would be in so much trouble.
That is one of my main platforms. Is I want to know how much taking federal dollars is costing Alabama, and number two, if it's not a significant amount that would change, then why are we doing it?
Right.
Of course, that would have to go through the legislature because they're the ones that do the budgets. The next thing I really want to do is, when parents come to speak to the school board, there's a rule that if the subject is not on the agenda for the school board, you cannot speak. If you do not notify the school board beforehand, you cannot speak. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean,
That's unacceptable to me, and I'm going to do what I can, because I'm only one of 9 people, including the governor, that the parents have the right to address the school board for whatever issue they have. And right now, I mean, you have to jump through hoops to talk to your school board.
But if this, I understand things being planned as being prepared. But if I'm a parent and I come in, I want to ask a question that's off the books. That's the opportunity for the school to get truth, because truth is the result of what you say. So if you feel like you can't be truthful with your response and you have to do the research, then maybe you're not the right person to give the answer to. But parents should have it. Should be an open context.
Right.
It should be completely
At
open. There's
least-
a lot of concerns.
At least a certain amount of minutes.
Yeah.
Open to parental issues.
Yeah.
And it's always been something that I won't want to call irritated, but it disturbed me that
Oh, it's not on the list.
Parents
Yeah,
can't
but
talk
you're
about
doing
it.
timed 30 seconds to ask the questions, 30 to 60 seconds to answer. It's a minute and a half. It's one and done.
Mhm.
So, I mean, you should be able to. I agree.
Mhm.
I think that's great.
So,
I wanted to ask you a question going back to COVID again.
okay.
And because I saw a trend, and I'm not so sure they planned this one, but I saw a big trend in people homeschooling their kids.
Oh,
It kind of, a little bit of this backfired. Did you see that?
oh, absolutely. Homeschooling, I read an article last night after I got home from somewhere down south, and I have to read a lot. It's very difficult to constantly keep up. That all over the nation, that homeschooling has almost doubled or even more because people saw what their kids were being
I
taught
saw one article where it had been tripled in some areas.
and did not like what they saw, and the school boards and the superintendents refused to address the problems that parents were seeing during COVID. So they took them out and homeschooled them.
And I gotta
Yes.
say this, my husband's sister, Paula, homeschooled their kids. Now, this was back in the 80s, and my question was, these kids are not gonna be social at all. I mean, these are the most social and the smartest kids, welcome by any college. Wherever they
Right.
wanted to go, they went because they were so way above everybody else.
But I bet they're in tune with their basic instincts. As
They
well.
are. These kids can, I mean, they think quick on their feet.
Yeah.
The businesses they're in, they're just being honored all the time
Yeah.
because they were taught. It was a small setting, but like, and I promise you wouldn't want to go against Paula, my sister-in-law. So if one of them acted up, I mean, so there was none of that nonsense. So a teacher now, and there's some good teachers out there, but they're spending most of their time with discipline. How can you teach?
Actually, not even discipline, but teaching all this social woke stuff,
Right.
and not teaching facts, history, social studies. Most of our kids have no idea how our government operates. My granddaughter is a junior in high school, and she's almost a straight A student. She knows nothing. And I have begged and begged and begged for years because to please let me homeschool her. And of course, my daughter and my son-in-law, who's an attorney, is like, no, you can't, not doing it. But she knows nothing. And next year she'll graduate and be old enough to vote. And she doesn't even understand how our government truly operates. And when she found out I was running for school board, and actually her school is in the district that I'm running for, she was mortified because I have to visit those schools, and she just knows my opinion that the schools themselves really need to address locally.
Yeah.
And stop dealing with national issues instead of teaching. And that's my platform. We'll see how good it goes, but that's what I'm going to be saying.
Well, I'm fully behind you, so you're going to be on the show a lot. So let's talk about what are the responsibilities if elected, which I hope you are. But what would be your responsibilities?
My responsibilities, from what I understand, what a real school board member does,
And you should know because
and I should know,
you should be the person you elect. I'm just telling you. You know what
is
happens.
to represent the parents, the students, the teachers, and the administrators in my district. I am their voice. So I have to know what they're thinking. But also, as an elected official, the parents and the students are my bosses. The superintendents and the teachers are not my bosses unless they live in that district and they vote in that district. Then I must be their voice.
I'm glad to hear that, though, because parents and teachers feel like they're on an island somewhere.
Right.
And they're being psyched into what they have to teach, or, the parents just feel left out most of the time.
Yeah.
They're
And
not getting memos,
so,
come on.
oh no, they're not being, all they're being told is, you must teach CRT, you must teach DEI. CRT is critical race theory, which we had a bill for 2 years in the Alabama legislature banning critical race theory in Alabama schools. It would not pass. They would not pass it. We have, although the school board passed a resolution not to teach it in the schools, there is no teeth. A teacher can do it, but what are you going to do to her? Nothing. There's no teeth in that resolution. A resolution is not a law. We have had bills to stop teaching DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion in our schools because it singles out people by race, sex, whatever it takes to make everybody equal. Well, this is the United States of America, and we are equal under the law, but that doesn't mean we're socially, mentally, emotionally equal. You can't force a child to be exactly like somebody else because we're all individuals. And that's what DEI is functioning for. They don't want equal, they want equality. And there's a big difference. If if I own a house and I make $100,000 a year, and you own a house, you don't own a house, you live in an apartment and make $50,000 a year, there is no way that the social services can make us equal.
Yeah.
No way, because that's an individual thing, that a responsibility of what I did to get where I am as compared to what you did to be where you are. Were you as smart? Did you have the backgrounds? Did you come from money? You can't equal that out if it's not already there.
I want to talk to you about one thing I think is not being taught in schools, and that's driving ambition.
Right.
Where everybody gets a trophy. I was a runner in school. And I remember coming home from my parents. So I remember coming home from school, and so my parents said, "Well, did you win it?" And I said, "I got second place." And they didn't let me whine about it. They said, "Well, then you need to start working for next year."
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I mean, that's just the way it was put to me. I didn't want to be second place. I wanted to be first because I had some ambition about myself.
Y'all remember when everybody started getting a trophy?
Yeah.
That's when it started going downhill.
Uh-huh.
It's because we don't strive for excellence. We strive for equality now.
Mm-hmm.
Not the same thing. Not the same thing. And that's just.
I do agree with that and bounce off. I remember I'm from Cherokee County, so center.
Oh no, you're not. My aunt and uncle lives in Cherokee County.
Family reunion time. Excuses, please.
James, sorry. We'll be right back. James Gilliland, he has this huge garden, and Joyce Gilliland, and Judy Gilliland, and
Do you know any Keeners?
no, I didn't know any
Laytons?
Kenners.
Do you know like Slacklands?
No, they live on that back road close to the lake.
Which lake? Like Purdue?
The one.
Wise Lake?
Yes, Wise.
Which part?
I don't know. We'll talk later.
Yeah.
So continue. You've got an hour and 43 seconds before we're going to a break.
Well, this kind of goes back to what you're saying is participation. So I remember they would have the fall fest and all the little kids, 6U, 7U, 8U, we would all run. Well, you would have kids that would particularly, train for this. And, and they get out to the end, they won first, second, and third, and they get medals. But the rest of us who did not train, just did it for fun, we still got medals too. So the kids that worked for it and the kids that didn't are still being treated the same.
Right.
So how do you say, hey, like, you don't get something because you participated.
Well,
but you're still
you just
giving an
work harder
award,
next year.
right? And so, but kids are having this expectation of an award even when they do a bad job, and so they're accepting mediocrity versus 100%.
To me, I'm going to get political on coaches. Okay, so coaches have been fired and they're getting millions of dollars. I have a problem with that. I'm sorry. So this drifts into the corporate world, into the real world where you own a business. Okay, somebody's doing a lousy job and I can't fire them.
Right.
So I had somebody stealing from me in a business. We owned 8 Nextel locations in Alabama a few years ago before we moved to Charlotte. And so someone was stealing from me. Did I give her another chance? No. I hauled her into my office and I said, you were stealing from me. And it's not even the money. It's that you thought I'd never find out about it. She said, well, you've got to give me 3 chances. And I said, I'm not giving you 3 chances to steal from me anymore.
Where in the world did she get the idea she got 3 chances?
Some crazy thing out that people that don't believe everything you hear, okay? Research. And I said, no, ma'am.
Yeah.
You're not getting 3. It was my Boaz store.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Her husband was actually.
By the way, I was born in Boaz, so.
You didn't know her. No.
Long-
Okay, we got to go
long
into
time
a
ago.
commercial break. Okay, and then we'll talk about long time ago.
Yeah.
The 70s, the disco. No, we won't do that. So we'll be right back in just a few minutes. Everybody hang in there. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonesmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for 2 or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. Jeff McCurdy of the McCurdy Law Firm has been a public service of this area for over 10 years. McCurdy, a member of the Henniger City Council, serves as prosecutor for the town of Sylvania and was named public defender for the city of Rainsville. The McCurdy Law Firm is located at 17326 Alabama Highway 75 in Henniger to better represent his Jackson and DeKalb County clients. If you need to be represented by a true public servant with proven success, call Jeff at 256-996-8701 or send a private email to mccurdylawfirm@gmail.com. No representation is made that the legal services performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers.
My Towels solved a problem that we've all had with towels. You go into the stores and they feel lotiony and soft, but then you get them home and they wind dry you. That's why I made My Towels. They actually work, they're soft, and they absorb. And now I'm excited to announce 2 brand new lines of My Towels. What makes them the best towels ever is they're now made with 100% long staple Shapir cotton. This is a combed ring-spun cotton that makes My Towels even softer and more absorbent than ever. And now you get a 6-piece set for an amazing introductory sale price as low as $29.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get My Towels for only $29.98. Or you can get my designer premium line for just $20 more. Either way, you save 50% now on all My Towels. They actually work. What a concept. This offer won't last long, so please order now.
MyPillow.com.
At Liberty Bank, we're all about community. Whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need, toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender. The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018. The only place I buy my beef is Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama. Their cattle is born and raised on their ranch, grass and grain fed, and you can feel confident when you serve your family and friends because their beef is all natural and no antibiotics or hormones are added. You can buy whole beef or perhaps go in with family or friends and buy half. Their customer service is number one as they take care of the delivery to their local processor and can deliver to your home for a small added fee. They also offer herd replacement heifers. I always call Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama for my beef specialty recipes and cookouts, and you can too. Food shortages are increasing, so buy local by calling 256-523-6462. That's 256-523-6462.
We are back. My name is Donna, and I am your host of Donna's Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications. That's in North Alabama. You can also find us on Abundant Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Rob Patz owns the station. And so I talked with Rob, and I said, Rob, how many people are actually watching us on this station? And he said, the only one I know is Roku. You got over 80,000 people listening to you right now.
Okay.
And he said, but I know there's more on Apple TV and Amazon Fire.
Yeah.
So anyway, you can find us that
I
way.
have that at home. Yeah.
Check it out. I mean, and lots of great shows on that station. Also, the newscasters.com. And, Mr. Day, who owns this, by the way, from the Days Inn family. And he used to be a senator in Georgia.
I don't.
And you got to check him out. Very,
I'll check
very
him out.
conservative.
Okay.
Unique guy. He really is a good guy. So thank you, Mr. Day, for giving me a shot at it. I definitely appreciate that. I hope to do a good job for you. But he said, now, Donna, truth does matter. Seen the show. And he says, as a matter of fact, I got to interview him. He has written a book.
Oh.
And so we're going to try to get him here within the next few weeks and maybe at Books A Million. For a book signing.
Yeah, I love Books A Million. I have to check it out once we're finished.
Yeah, we're going to have to go hang out there.
Yep.
And Eubank is with me right now, and Kaylie Johnson, who is the mall manager here. Actually, what is your title here?
The general manager.
General
Yep.
manager.
Property
And so-
manager, however you want to word it. But
Let's
yeah.
talk about that for a few minutes because I'm seeing Gadsden as being like a gravity pull for new businesses. I'm just seeing it. I'm seeing it happen. What can folks do to get in contact with you if you don't have a whole lot of openings here, but if folks want to move here to the mall, what do they do?
Well, I have people, you
You're
can go on
talking
the
to people all over
website.
the country, by the
Yeah,
way.
you can go on the website, shopgadsden.com. They've got a contact us button. We have a Facebook, which is Gadsden Mall. I have my business cards that I post on there that you can scan the QR code and it'll take you straight to me. So it's 4 or 5 different ways to get in contact, or you could just come to the mall and come see me. My door's open 8 to 4, Monday through Friday, and you help yourself in. No appointments needed, and just walk on in.
Well, let me tell you something about Kaylie is Kaylie has actually experienced. I worked for a mall or had a store at a mall one time. The person who was the manager had never done retail before, so
Right.
she could not talk with people about what they needed. But you've done retail.
Yes, I
So
have.
that's a huge step if you're thinking about starting a business here at the Gadsden Mall.
Yeah, I've had, I started retail 2010, and I was a seasonal associate for Finish Line at the Rome Mall. And it's a funny story there. There was a lot of things in my life that I felt like I worked hard. And this was the first time I got criticism. I was like, you know what, you're not doing a great job. At the end of the season, we're not going to continue to keep you. So I was like, how do I stay? And my great store manager, Simeon, at the time, told me what I needed to work on. And it was great because a lot of people don't realize your boss is not just your boss, they're your leader, they're your coach, and they're your friend. And that's something that he got me, and I ended up being one of the youngest MITs in the company.
Wow.
And then I went from there. I actually worked for a small company at Charming Charlie's. I love it. It was an Arbor Place mall, and this store you would walk in and it has the tables. And if you wanted to go in and find gold jewelry, everything on that table is gold, or cream purses, or, you know, something in the color range. Everything was a color, you know, assorted. And then I actually got a job at Rue 21. And so what I did for Rue 21, I was an SOS manager, so I was store opening specialist. So out of the 2 years I was there, I flew across the United States building Generation 1 and 2 stores, you know, more on the real estate side. And, you know, I wanted to come back home. And coming back home was a big step for me because I felt like, you know, I wanted to get out of that small town, and I wanted to, you know, be curious about what was, you know, my opportunities. And so I actually came to Bath and Body Works, and they offered me the Gadsden store. I had ran that store for 7 years, became the store manager within, I think, 6 or 7 months when I came in. And I passed it off to my sweet Allison, who is working it now. So you guys make sure you come out and see her. James, the previous general manager here, he came at me multiple times like, hey, I want you on my team. I want you on my team. I was like, no, I'm comfortable. I'm content. I want to retire doing this. Like, I'm happy where I'm at. So I took a leap of faith, came to specialty leasing, and within 2 months, they sold them all. And I was like, what am I going to do? And they're like, well, we're going to make you a general manager. So I have self-taught and self-learned everything and I've only done this for about a year.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
just like,
if I can do it, anyone can do it. So
well, I've been impressed. And again, you know, sometimes people at a mall setting, you know, they have a store and they feel like the management doesn't understand them.
Yes.
Like, you don't even know what retail is, you know, but you do.
I do.
So it's a huge
Yes.
plus if you're thinking about expanding.
Yes.
You'd like to come to the mall, you got to do this, girl.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm from Hoover, and when I walked in, I thought, what a nice place. I mean, really, it has a very good feel, and it presents very well.
Thank you. You know,
this is the first time I've ever been.
Well, thank you. You know, we're not Birmingham and we're not Huntsville, but, you know, we are Gadsden.
I feel safe here.
Yeah, we're Gadsden. You know, we're 500,000 square foot. You know, we're 97% full. You know, we've got a lot of big projects going on, and that's the one thing, you know, as far as, you know, with Craig and them, you know, I feel confident in putting my mall into their hands because of what they've already developed, what we've already done within 1 year. It's insane. So I feel like 1 year we've done more changes than probably 10
Well,
years.
I can't wait to see what's ahead.
Mm-hmm.
See, I grew up in Oxford. My dad moved us to Geraldine. No mall in Geraldine. I couldn't find one, man. I looked. I couldn't find one. So we would come
I
to
can't
the
find
Gadsden.
Geraldine.
That's a funny story about Geraldine.
So we would go to the Gadsden Mall. It's just not Christmas unless you come to the Gadsden Mall.
Yes.
And so we're lots of the beautiful Christmas tree. I mean, you should see the decorations, but we're going to be talking about that a little bit later. Ann Eubank is with us. She's running for office, and something I begged her to do for how many years have I begged you to do this?
A lot.
But I can't think of anybody better to take over this spot. And I know you're going to bring new energy. By the way, she's the Energizer Bunny. She just like goes and goes and goes. I thought I had energy until I hung around you.
Yeah,
It takes energy, though.
It does. And what I've learned is if we can keep it in the same part of the state or the county, it makes it a lot easier on me. When I was working for Ted Cruz, I was in Gulf Shores doing an event at the Robertsdale, And at 8:30 in the morning, they called me and said, you need to be in Athens at 4 o'clock. Well, those of you in Alabama understand I'm sitting on the Gulf of Mexico and I'm going to the last city in the state of Alabama up north.
That's a fur piece is what we
That's
say.
a fur piece, but I made it. So, now running my campaign, which is in District 3, I'm kind of figuring out how to manage my time, which districts I'm in. But I never thought I'd run for office. I said a million times I'm never going to run for office. But the situation came up where the incumbent decided in the last hours of qualifying not to run. And we searched everywhere to find a conservative who could take her place. And
Your name kept coming up.
my name kept coming up. I have, people would say you have no negatives. I'm not real sure what exactly that means because trust me, I have negatives. But it would take somebody that was known in this district to be able to win. And I've been all over the state for 15 years. Talking and warning people about improvements that we need in our school systems.
Now, I know you keep saying, District 3. Some people may not know exactly what District 3 is. So what areas are you covering?
There are 8 districts in Alabama. District 3 is part of Mountain Brook, part of Vestavia, Hoover, all of Shelby County, all of Elmore County, Chilton County, which is between Shelby and Montgomery, Bibb County, parts of Coosa, parts of Tallapoosa. So, and Leeds, it must be the Jefferson County part of Leeds because I don't have any St. Clair. So it's from Birmingham
That's a big district.
down to
that's a lot.
Montgomery.
Yeah, that's
from
a big
Birmingham to
district.
Montgomery. So, and I'm well known in those areas because I've been so vocal over 15 years, talking to any group that I could talk to. And hopefully that'll carry over to votes to be able to put me in because...
And I think it'll give also more momentum to the other people who win in other districts because, you got a workhorse here and a warrior and who really cares about your kids and your grandkids and your future kids. So, those things are so important. But I wanted to mention this. Okay, my son was in school in 1990s, okay? And I remember I told you about this. I was so upset. So Brad comes in from school. Now, when I went to school back in the olden days from the 1970s, you could get expelled for carrying a calculator in class. And we were told not to. So Brad comes in from school and he said, "Hey, Mom, I got to have a calculator." And I'm thinking, yeah, sure you do. You just want to cheat in math. Mm-hmm. And even though he was a good math student, I'm thinking, yeah, right. Mm-hmm. So I said, "I'm going to call your teacher." And so he sat there. So I'm thinking if he's lying to me, he's going to go, "Oh, no, really, I'm just joking," whatever. So I called the teacher and I said, "Brad told me he has to have a calculator for math." He said, "Yes, Donna, he does." And I said, "Hey, hold it. That's cheating."
Yeah.
He's not using his head.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to use the brain he's got right here. And that was back in the 90s.
Yep.
And I was so upset about that.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all remember we put a man on the moon without computers.
But if you're not using your brain,
That's right.
It's taking something away. I believe in, okay, I know this sounds old-fashioned, old fogey and all this, but I believe in reading, writing, and arithmetic. Why can't we let those be the ground rules right there going to school? You've got to pass those 3.
Well, I'd like to return to those, and I'd like to get away from more about social emotional learning, which we call SEL. It's not what's right, it's, well, how do you feel about that? And, we pass students that have failed because it's bad for their psyche and their ego. I'd like to get away from that.
But then you're taking ambition away when you do
Yes.
that. Here goes that dirty word again, ambition.
Yeah, ambition. And the United States is going to fail. We will crumble, and because we're crumbling now. We took God and country out of schools.
Yep.
And we're fighting a battle now to get it back in. the school country's going back in because we've now had the right to pray again every morning, and we've had the right now to say the Pledge of Allegiance every morning,
They took that away.
which they had taken away. So now they're fighting to put that back in. We had to fight a fight to have civics put back into schools because they took that out. And we just can't continue down this road and expect America to survive as a God-fearing country. 51% of our country believe in God, and we have the right to be able to express our beliefs no matter where we are. So, and my question has always been, how in the heck did we get down to 51%?
Yeah,
Well, we took God out of the schools.
that's exactly how. I remember when they took God out of the schools and you couldn't pray anymore in school. And I remember seeing bumper stickers all over the place that said, as long as there are tests, there's prayer in school. Please, Jesus, let me win.
Because they did that, 2011 when they took that out?
God was taken out in 80.
With the Pledge of Allegiance, I think they took out in 11 because
Yeah, well,
I
now-
was in 10, and the year after is
Yeah,
when they had stopped
The
doing
Pledge of
it.
Allegiance.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, now there's a bill to put it back in.
I mean, it's what our country grounds are on.
That's
That's our
right.
Constitution. So you're a country that builds your Constitution around the pledge and around the Christian, and that's what you're pointing
Right.
out.
It
And-
teaches integrity to your
Mhm.
kids.
Well, we no longer teach the Constitution.
Mhm.
The Alabama legislature had to actually pass a law requiring teachers to teach the Constitution during a segment in the 4th grade. We no longer teach cursive writing. The Alabama
We
legislature,
were talking about cursive writing.
yeah, they had to
Because-
pass a law to make the teachers teach our kids cursive, simply because if they don't know cursive, they can't read our founding
I
documents.
love your analysis on that.
But yes, and you talk about cursive, and we were just talking about the secondhand writing and, how that was taught back then. And, I was looking and I was like, I've never even seen this before. So it is, it's how do you read it? If you can understand it if you can't read it.
But the original documents are in cursive, so
Mhm.
if you can't read that,
Yeah.
I just think it's a plan, is what I think.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it started back, people say, oh, it's gotten so bad. Well, it really started back in the 50s. And I graduated high school in 66, and that year was the last year without integration, which integration forced integration. Had they left it alone, it would have been a
Just leave it
natural,
alone.
yeah, it would have been a natural way they just over time. But when you force integration, they lost 10 years
Mhm.
of quality education trying to do their social engineering. And so 66, 67 was the last year that classical education, which is what we were taught, was prevalent in schools. After that, it became something
Well,
else.
when you force anything, it's someone's lifestyle, I could care less what you do, but don't force it on me. I mean, don't force anything. You can force chocolate if you want to, but not anything else. Don't force. And the kids are being led around this way. This is how they're being taught in schools. Like, don't think for yourself.
Right. Well, I lived in Birmingham in 66 and went through all the marches and all that. And I lived in a neighborhood where on one side of the street was where the white people lived, and on the other side of the street up on the hill we had minorities. They did not want integration. What they wanted was equal but separate. And they never had schools that would equal the white schools. So the federal government said, well, we'll come in and we'll do it for you. And they didn't want that any more than we wanted it, but, it happened, and it took 10, 15 years to get it straightened out to where, the kids meal. Nowadays, children don't even recognize race. You're 4 years old, 5 years old. They don't understand that unless they've been taught that. But now we've got the diversity, equity, inclusion, and CRT, because now the white people have had privilege and have mistreated you, and so we're going to make it to where you're equal to them. Well, leave it alone, people.
Yeah, but I think everybody's equal to begin with. I mean,
Exactly.
everybody, I don't know why we're doing this.
I don't-
This would be like me. I'm pretty sure my ancestors probably made bricks out of clay. I would say that. I probably didn't come from royalty. So what would happen if I went to Egypt and I said, okay, my family we worked for a living. We were slaves. Do you think they would give me anything? They would probably shoot me on sight. I mean,
Well, if the government will quit trying to social engineer and cause chaos, which is what they want.
it's called creating division.
Yes, create chaos and division, then we'd all get along. Because come down to Alabama, we went through it in the 60s. We don't have the problems.
No, we don't.
And we don't have the problems.
And we were living in Charlotte, and some of
Yeah.
the things that are said about Alabama just make me sick to my
Yeah.
stomach. And so we lived in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I think some people thought just because I was from Alabama I was a racist.
Right.
And they found out really quick I wasn't. I mean, everybody's equal. I mean, you're equal. We all,
We don't deal in race a lot.
we don't
down
do
here.
that
We
here.
just don't.
We don't.
There now,
So
some
come
of
Alabama.
the radicals do. I'm not saying that they don't try to stir the pot, but I in the corporate world, it doesn't matter if you're black or white. It
Okay.
matters what you do.
Mhm.
In most schools, if you leave the students alone, it doesn't matter to them.
I still think it's all about division.
Do you feel like race has gotten worse with technology?
I don't think it's technology.
Because for me, I remember being in elementary and middle school, and we had multiple minorities, and I don't ever remember seeing race as an issue. Now, obviously, it would be more so because I am, Caucasian. Maybe I don't see the race. Maybe they experienced something I didn't experience. But I never really felt like there was, I'm going to look at you and you're different because your skin tone until I got older. Technology and social media, and I feel like that was kind of face planted to people.
Exactly.
So do you feel like that's something that was a plan to cause the division? Because I don't remember. I mean, there's always been division to an extent, but I just don't remember having it growing up. I remember there are some particular things that happened in school that I did see other people act a certain way towards people. I'm like, okay, I've never experienced that, and my mom, talked me through that. But even going into college, like I never really seen it until the social media.
I didn't see it until I was in school and they're teaching it.
Right.
Because when I was growing up, we didn't even see that.
No.
And it's just like, and then I'm coming from school, are we racist? And
And that's what I'm talking about. The chaos and the division
you're causing
of
that.
CRT and DEI is deliberate because the powers behind the curtains have seen that we all get along if you leave us alone.
Yeah.
And I think we need to figure out how to go back to that.
Well,
just
I say
leave us
don't
alone.
listen to the media.
Yeah.
Listen to this media. We'll tell you the truth, but don't listen to them. Don't get led around by the nose. Okay, you need to listen to truth and seek it. And let's talk about this. You're running for office,
Yeah.
so you need to really go check her out. Okay, so
Google me and you will have fun.
no, don't listen to
my
sound bites. Don't listen to sound bites. What you need to do is when she is in an area, you need to go listen to her, and she will actually love you to ask questions.
Yeah.
Raise your hand. Be nice. Raise your hand, ask questions, and she'll be glad to answer a question for you. And you'll get the truth because she's done the research for it.
I have 15 years of beginning to end of what they've tried to accomplish. And, they've done a really good job of it. And it's because of the bureaucratic state, the Department of Education, those people who want to control your children and want to put you in the background. But God gave you those children to protect and raise in His image.
But then we've got to have willing parents.
Yes, you have the right to determine, and this is my whole thing, parental rights are above all else. And people just need to start enforcing their parental
But
rights.
now parents need to be taught because
Yes.
we've got a couple of generations now, parents who don't know what it's like.
Yeah.
I mean, because, they didn't, their parents were not allowed to do that. So we'll need to have classes about that.
Yeah.
Exercise your rights.
Do you feel like, because, back to what we're talking about with COVID, a lot of parents, were homeschooling, and I'm not educated behind how homeschooling works, but if that's something that continues and parents keep pulling, do you think that the federal government or support would have anything funds to support parents that make decisions as far as homeschooling?
The Price Act was brought up. The Price Act gave parents the right to apply for, I think it went up to $7,000 per student, that the Board of Education Trust Fund would give parents to help them either go to private school or homeschool their children. Kind of like an educational savings account. It would run through the Department of Revenue. It was a really good bill. Our legislators freaked out. We just can't hand out our education money to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Well, excuse me, people, that's our money.
That's our tax money.
So
That's not
there was a bill
Yes.
that wasn't passed because we fall back into they couldn't itemize where the money was going.
Oh, no, they could, because there was a program through the Department of
But
Revenue.
their claim was they couldn't.
Yeah, their claim was, well, we don't know what they're going to be doing with that money.
Well,
But
we don't know what you're doing with our
That's what I'm
money.
saying. You've got all these funds that there's not to itemize.
And
where
we
does
are
this money-
talking $17 billion
Yeah.
in the Education Trust Fund.
Yeah.
But we as taxpayers and parents can't have $6,000 a year to educate our children as we see fit, because it was going to damage the public school system. Well, the only amount of money that they were going to get was the state part. The local and the federal money that goes to that student was going to go to the school they were zoned in.
Mhm.
So they only got a portion of what the system was paying for each student. But there were some problems, and it failed.
Mhm.
Now, it's coming back this year, and the governor's trying to rewrite a bill, an ESA, Education Savings Account. We don't know what's going to be in it yet. It may be strictly for special education students or students that are in a failing school. But the legislature does not want to trust parents with any amount of tax dollars to educate their students. They must go to public school, or they must go to a private school.
And we have a minute left in this segment. What would you like to tell the folks? How can they get in contact with you, donate, help you out there?
Okay. You can donate to me at Ann Eubank Campaign. I am on my way now to set up my account. My webpage guy is talking to me tomorrow. So there'll be a webpage for Ann Eubank Campaign for District 3 State School Board. Because I only did this on Friday at 3 o'clock,
It was a whim.
I was kind of behind the 8 ball about those things, So give me a week or so and go on Facebook or go on, my website.
And I'll put it on my page again.
And Donna will put it on, and then we can do. My attitude is, conservatives think good government is free, and that's not true. And I'm up against $1 million, but everybody can afford $20. Mm-hmm. So my thing is, if every parent that really cares about what their school boards are doing send me $20, hey, I'll have $1 million to fight to win the race. And I'm not after big, corporate donations. I want
Absolutely.
the people to
You just
back
heard the
me.
dog bark. That means that it's over.
Okay.
Until she's back again. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You may find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, as well as Abundant Television found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget the podcast, Net News, right there. So glad to be with you as well. Kaylie, thank you so much. And Ann, thank you so much as well.
Thank you.
We'll see you later.
Bye.